So this is actually the real purpose of a ship anchor. Many people think that ships are fixed in position by inserting the anchor into the seabed, but actually that is not the case. Imagine a steel giant weighing hundreds of thousands of tons being held in place by just one iron hook against wind and ocean currents. That is almost impossible. So what does the anchor actually do? The most common modern anchor is the stockless anchor. It is a very heavy anchor with flukes that have adjustable angles. When the anchor falls to the sea bottom and receives force in the horizontal direction, its flukes automatically flip over and dig into the seabed. Of course, this depends on whether the sea bottom cooperates. If it is hard rock, then the anchor is almost useless and will just slide away. A seabed covered with seaweed also does not work. The surface is as smooth as a carpet. Sandy ground is slightly better. The anchor can dig in, but it does not necessarily hold. The most ideal condition is strong, sticky mud and old seabed, where the anchor flukes can dig in deeply like sharp claws. But even so, the anchor itself is still not the main character. The real main character is the unassuming chain. On large ships, the chain can be hundreds of meters long. It is made of high-strength steel, and each individual chain link can weigh up to 160 kilograms. The total weight can reach 10 tons. Although the anchor itself weighs more than 20 tons, which is equivalent to the weight of several ordinary cars, its actual function is very simple, just to fix the end of the anchor chain. Finally, the ship continues to release a large amount of chain, because the goal is not to have the chain pulled tight into a straight line, but to let the chain spread out naturally on the seabed, forming a heavy curved shape between the sea bottom and the ship. This curve is called the catenary. This shape has two amazing effects. First, the weight and friction produced by the large amount of chain lying on the sea bottom itself acts like a giant anchor. Second, and this is the cleverest part, it acts as a perfect shock absorber. When wind and waves push the ship, the force does not directly pull the anchor. It first has to lift this heavy anchor chain. A large amount of energy is consumed in overcoming the inertia of the chain. The chain is gradually pulled straight, absorbing the impact like a giant rubber band. By the time the force actually reaches the anchor, it has already been greatly weakened, and only a gentle pull remains. If this curve did not exist, any sudden impact could directly yank the anchor out of the sea bottom, creating a rigid shock. The pulling force at that moment could reach several thousand tons, so the catenary is the core secret of the anchoring system. So how do you know how much chain to release? Generally, the chain length ratio is 5 to 7 times the water depth. So before dropping anchor, sonar is used to measure the sea depth and confirm the bottom condition before dropping the anchor. So how do you know how much chain has been released? The secret is hidden on the chain itself. The anchor chain is manufactured in sections, each section being 27.5 meters. The connection point of each section is painted red, and the chain links on both sides are painted white. The number of white links represents how many sections have been released. One pair of white links means the first section, 2 pairs means the second section, and so on. This is a simple, reliable, purely mechanical marking system. The crew only needs to take one look to know how much chain has been released. So how is the anchor retrieved? The ship is steered toward the position where the anchor is. At the same time, the windlass at the bow is responsible for pulling back the chain. When the ship moves directly above the anchor, the chain becomes vertical, and the upward force lifts the anchor's tail end like a lever, pulling the flukes out of the seabed. So next time,